after chapter 3, we had a little mini section that was on sequences, which is actually covered in chapter 1 of the book, in case you're looking for that. And there's two different formulas for the arithmetic type sequence. So we just did geometric in chapter 7, but arithmetic, remember, means that you are adding the same amount each time. Okay, so arithmetic means to add. So this should look very familiar to you, especially this part here, which meant the previous term. And then D just stands for difference. So the only difference between geometric and arithmetic is that we're adding. So here is a plus sign instead of a multiplied sign. Okay, again, if this is something that you don't remember, okay, maybe these are no card type equations. So we'll try a few. Number 1 says, here's a sequence, find the first 4 terms. Okay, this was pretty straightforward. To find the first term, you just plug in 1. So -3 times 1 squared minus 5. That works out to be -8. To find the second term, you plug in 2. Good memory. Okay, this was just basically plug in chug. Then to find the third term, you plug in 3, and so on. So if you work that out, you should get -8, -17, -32, and -53. Okay, so part B says T sub 75. That means plug in 75. So -3 times 75 squared minus 5 should work out to be -16,880. Okay, plug and chug there. Okay, don't get overworked about those. Those are pretty straightforward. Number 2 gives you the recursive sequence and says find the first 4 terms. Okay, so again, like in geometric, you're looking at 2 pieces of information. First piece, first term. Okay, first term -4. Second piece, look at the second part. What does it say? It says subtract 8 each time. So -4 minus 8 is -12. Minus 8 is 20. Minus 8, -28. Okay, so don't overthink those. Okay, just read it. It says first thing -4, second thing subtract 8 each time. Done. Okay, part B, how would you find A sub 75? Well, to find A sub 75, you need the 74th and the 73rd and so on. So you would have to find all 74 terms ahead of it. Sad face. I don't think I would ever ask you to do that. That's just not nice. Okay, so notice the difference between 1 and 2. It's easy to do that in part 1, and number 2, it is not easy to do that. Okay, so notice the different formulas. Number 3 says write the explicit formula for this sequence. So the first thing you need to figure out is the difference. What are you doing each time? Okay, so to get to 45 to 38, 38 to 31, etc. Okay, you are subtracting 7 each time. So to plug it into that formula that you saw at the very beginning or the very top of your page, it says A sub n equals A sub 1, which means the first term, so 45, plus n minus 1 times your difference. Okay, that's the first step. But from here, you need to be able to simplify it. Okay, so you need to distribute your -7. So 45 minus 7n plus 7. Okay, so now put together your like terms. So that should give you 52 minus 7n for your last formula. Okay, so again, all I did was distribute my -7 times the n. So I got 45 minus 7n plus 7 to simplify that. Okay. Number 4, this was one of the most missed exam review questions from your top 10. So it says write the recursive for the arithmetic sequence given by this. Okay, because it's arithmetic, you can't just read it. It doesn't tell you just the first term and so on. So first thing you have to do here is find the first couple terms. So to find the first term, you plug in 1. So 2 times 1 is 2, minus 11 is -9. Then maybe find the second term, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 11 is -7. And if you wanted to check the third term, 6 minus 11 is -5. Okay, so from here you should see pretty straightforward that my first term is -9, and that my difference is that I'm adding 2 each time. Okay, we're getting bigger, even though they're both negative. So now I can write my recursive one. So now I can say, okay, my first term is -9. Then I can say d sub n equals my previous term, d sub n minus 1 plus 2. And then all of these recursive formulas get n is greater than or equal to 2 at the end. Okay? Again, if you don't have the sequence, find the sequence before you try and figure things out. Okay? Because it's not like number 2 where it just gives it to you. It's the explicit one, so you have to kind of get your sequence. Number 5 is story problem. A wading pool is filled to a depth of 36 inches and drains at a rate of 3 inches per hour. Write the explicit formula. Okay. So d sub n equals, well, I start with 36 and I'm draining 3 inches per hour, so minus 3n. Okay, that seems straightforward enough. Don't overthink that. How deep will it be after 6 hours? So I would just plug in 6 hours here. So that would give me 18 inches. Okay, don't overthink the story problems. We're not trying to trick you on all of them, just some of them. Number 6, is the sequence arithmetic? Okay, you cannot tell just by looking at it. So this is kind of like the last one I circled. Find a couple terms to look at. So to find the first term, plug in 1. So if you plug in 1, you're going to get 7. Second term should be 16. Next one should be 31. Okay, so 7 to 16 and then 16 to 31. Is that the same amount? Absolutely not. So this is no constant difference. So this is not arithmetic. Okay, if you wanted to check a fourth term, you can, but obviously if it's a no right away, it's going to be a no overall. Number 7 is the absolute values. Okay, so these always had 2 answers, and the key here was when you wrote your 2 equations. Okay, right now my absolute value bars are by itself, so I can write my 2 equations right away. So I can drop them and say 2x minus 8 equals 16, or I can say 2x minus 8 equals a negative 16. Okay, so you can drop it right away. From here, you just do simple algebra. So I'm going to add 8. So I'm going to get, oopsies, 2x equals 24. So x would equal 12. Or I would get 2x to equal negative 8. So x would equal a negative 4. Okay, 2 answers. Number 8 is not as simple. Okay, this is not the part where you are going to write your 2 equations. First, you need to get the absolute value bars by themselves. So first, I'll subtract 12. So I'll get 4 times 3x minus 1 equals 8. Again, get the absolute value bars by themselves. So divide by 4 first. So I get the absolute value of 3x minus 1 equals 2. Now that they're all by themselves, okay, there's nothing else attached to it, now you can make your 2 equations. So now you can say 3x minus 1 equals 2, or 3x minus 1 equals negative 2. Again, remembering to change the numbers over here. So 2 and negative 2 at the end, you are not changing the inside. Okay, so just solve from here. So 3x equals 3, x equals 1, or 3x equals negative 1, x equals negative 1/3. Okay, just make sure you're getting 2 answers for all absolute values. Okay, so that was all of sequences.